Okay, welcome everybody to Community Cooking with the Co-op. Tonight, we've partnered with the Coos Head Food Co-op, and we have Tim Bolster here in the kitchen, the outreach coordinator at the co-op. We have our cameraman, Alan Bartle, behind the camera. And tonight we have, there he is, or somewhere back there.
Wrong one. Hold on, give him a second. Here he comes.
There he is. Hey, Alan. The man behind the scenes. We couldn't do it without him.
Right.
And then tonight we have Stephanie Polizzi, who's a registered dietitian nutritionist. Did I get that right? At OSU. And this is a special treat. A lot of you might know Stephanie from previous cooking sessions. She's usually given us nutritional information about ingredients, but now we get the whole thing. She's going to cook a couple dishes for us. So with that, like I said, I'm recording this to put on the YouTube channel, a library's YouTube channel later, but you don't need to, I'll take out your names, but not your video. So I'll leave it up to you. I'm sorry, that was a spiel. And if anybody has any questions, please put them in chat and I'll feed them to Steph, or you can respectfully unmute and just ask your questions. It's all yours, Steph.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for coming to our cooking demo for curry quinoa and corn salad. So your list of ingredients includes a cup of dry quinoa, and we're using the multicolored quinoa. Can you see that? Thank you. Because it has a richer flavor than just the blonde.
Nice.
And you can find most of that Bob's Red Mill or whatever, and sometimes they have it in bulk here at Coos Head. And then we'll need a couple of big onions. I think the more onions, the better, but that's just the way I like it. I'm going to be using the ginger root and a couple of red peppers. And Tim has also provided me with one stalk of celery, so we will be adding a token stalk of celery. The recipe, this is for this. The recipe calls for either turmeric and coriander or curry powder, and we're using curry powder and cinnamon. This is the cinnamon, right?
Yes.
Okay. We're using the curry powder and cinnamon, and that's because it's actually just easier. Most people just want to get through this in a hurry. So we're going to make curry powder and cinnamon. And then we're using vegetable broth. This one is low sodium vegetable broth.
And I think it was either water or vegetable broth.
You don't need vegetable broth tends to be high in salt. So if you're watching your sodium, you can just use water. And then you would want to spice it up a little bit more if you're just using water. Okay. And then we have salt in the recipe, but you don't need it if you're having this broth with the sodium in it. And then we also have frozen peas, which we don't have in front of us here, but we're going to be using a package of peas, and we added at the very end. So Tim's going to be preparing those peas separately.
So I guess with the frozen peas, and then we have corn too.
Right.
If they have a microwave, they can do it that way, right?
If they're microwavable bags.
Yeah.
If not, you put the peas in a container, you put the lid on it with a little bit of water, and you can microwave them that way. But you're going to want to get the peas hot because we add them at the very end. Okay. So if you throw them in the microwave now, that's great. Otherwise, you're going to have to prepare a pot with some water and get them heated up so that but you have time. You got 15 minutes, so it's really, you don't have to do it now. You can save those.
All right. Well, we'll wait.
Get going on the peas.
Oh, get going on the corn. All right.
Okay, so what's the first step? The first step is to chop your onions. Always start with onions for everything. And do we have a garbage, or are we just using
our compost bucket?
We'll compost.
You're not making broth, right?
Correct.
Okay, so here's a tip. I use homemade vegetable broth instead of broth that is commercially made, and you do that by keeping all of your extra pieces of your vegetables. I'm looking there. Keep all your extra pieces of your vegetables rather than tossing them away. Now, you don't save the skins of the onions, but you do save any extra pieces of them. And what you do is you just throw those in a Ziploc bag and put them in your freezer and accumulate all of your vegetable scraps, and then you boil them down and make your own broth. So that's a good way to reuse things that maybe you don't eat all the time.
Nice.
Are there things that you wouldn't throw in?
I don't put the skins of this in.
Okay.
I don't put in anything where there's extra dirt might accumulate, like at the
Right.
very tip of your carrots. I don't normally accumulate those. I probably wouldn't put in this end of the pepper. Just because.
Broccoli, do you like to put broccoli in too?
Yeah, you can put it, any of your extra vegetables that you're not using or that are starting to go bad, throw them in your freezer and make broth with them.
Cool.
So,
We're dicing up the onion. How fine are you gonna dice up?
okay, well, that's kind of up to you. I like my onions kind of big because I like a good cooked onion. I don't like raw onions, but I like cooked onions. And so I like mine a little bit bigger, and I'll show you if maybe I will show you.
Yep. Wanna go overhead?
Yeah, a little overhead.
Okay.
Okay, so this is how I cut my onions. I give myself like three or four good cuts across the onion. Now you can do more if you want smaller pieces,
Sure.
but I like this pretty large.
Okay.
I know that Sam is a better onion chopper than I am. The other thing is that the smaller you chop your onions, the more likely you're going to cry.
Yeah.
Now this I might save and put in, whoops, where is it? I might
There you go.
save this piece, put that in for the broth.
Cool.
But really quick when you don't have to make them real small.
Sure.
The other thing is you want your knife really sharp. If you don't have a sharp knife, then it really makes the onions, I'm already feeling it. Whew.
You'll be crying more.
I'll be crying more. Yeah, if the knife isn't really sharp. And the other thing is too, you can keep your onions in the refrigerator. Most storage for onions is just in cool temperatures. It doesn't have to be in the refrigerator. It could be out in the garage. But if you keep them in the refrigerator, they're less likely to make you cry.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just keep mine out on the counter.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they like it cool, but they don't need to be cold.
but the fridge is better than the counter if you don't want them to make you cry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And we're almost there.
We're almost there.
So what?
And we did 2 onions.
Yeah, I like a lot of onions.
So yeah, again, personal preference. If you don't like a lot of onions, maybe you'll do 1 big onion.
Right.
We're making this an onion-filled dish.
Well, and the more vegetables you add, not only is it healthier for you, but it'll go further, like when you're feeding a bigger family.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so Tim's going to turn on the heat and get
Yes.
the pot warming.
Okay.
And while he's doing that, oh, I meant to bring my cutting board. Okay. While he's doing that and that's heating up, don't need the lid. We'll go ahead and get the peppers chopped as well.
Stephanie, do you put a little oil in the pan to heat it or not?
But only after it's getting warm.
So yeah, we will. We're gonna let it heat up first.
Really heat it up just a little bit first.
Okay. Good question, Joanne.
Only because I don't want it to burn and I'm not ready for it.
Sure.
If you were ready, you could put it in while it's cold, but I don't want it to burn because it'll make it taste terrible. So
Totally.
now you can see that there's seeds in the red pepper.
Mm-hmm.
You can eat those. You don't have to take them out. They're edible and they're very nutritious, so you can leave them in. I just took them out for the sake of everybody else not being grossed out by eating too many seeds. But, if you have seeds that kind of linger, don't worry about them because they're good for you.
Yeah, I've been conditioned just to like get rid of all the seeds.
Yeah, don't get rid of them.
Yeah.
So red pepper I make a little smaller only because I'm not using very much and it's mainly for color. But it's important to note that red pepper is the most nutritious of all the peppers. So green bell peppers are not mature. They're not ready to be picked. And so they're not as sweet and they're not as nutritionally dense. And so the closer you get to red, the more nutritious they become. So that's part of why red peppers are more expensive, because they have to sit on the vine longer, but also because, they're sweeter and they're more in demand, but they're better for you.
So a green pepper becomes a red pepper eventually?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Ah.
So where does the orange pepper fit in?
So that's like as green as mature or immature, then they turn yellow, then they turn orange, then they turn red.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, don't tell people in the farming industry that I said that, because apparently some breeds are specifically bred to be green.
Mhm.
But in general, if you're going to grow your own peppers, the red is the sweetest and it takes the longest to ripen and it is the most expensive, but it's the most delicious and the most nutritious.
Ah. Yeah, I remember you said that once before, and I told that, I think here, and I got some looks like I was
Yeah,
crazy,
people
and
didn't believe it.
I backtracked very quickly, but
Okay, so
I vaguely
have a-
remember that.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit redeemed here, I just gotta say.
So this is olive oil. Now, I don't cook with oil at home, but we're going to use a little bit only because the recipe
Okay.
said that.
Oil's going in.
About a tablespoon or so, not a lot of oil.
Cool.
All right.
And you let that warm up a little bit.
And how hot
So-
should they get this pan, Steph?
This is on medium high.
Medium high, okay.
It's one of those things where if you take a little bit of water and you throw it at it, it should sizzle.
Okay, cool.
But what you don't want to do is to burn the oil. And the reason I don't cook with oil is because oil, as you heat it, creates free radicals. So it oxidizes and creates free radicals. And so anytime you heat an oil, it's bad. So I don't recommend that people use oil to cook with, but we're following the recipe. So these things I just threw away. Insides of the peppers. Can you see those?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the fleshy.
That's the stuff you really want to save and use for broth.
Oh, okay.
That stuff.
What is a free radical, if you don't mind my asking?
A free radical, good question. A free
Yeah.
radical is a molecule that is missing one or more electrons, and it makes the molecule unstable. And when it becomes unstable, it steals electrons from healthy tissue, healthy molecules, and in the process makes that molecule a free radical. So it's a cascading effect of damaging tissues, and that leads to aging and disease. So free radicals are neutralized by antioxidants.
Ooh.
So the more antioxidants you consume, the more free radicals you can destroy. And we are experiencing free radicals just, going outside in the sunshine or eating food. We make free radicals, but our body can usually handle them by consuming lots of fruits and vegetables. But if you're not eating a lot of antioxidants, then these can build up and lead to disease. That should be getting pretty warm, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good question,
So
too.
Yeah.
I can almost smell it, so it's getting there. So we're going to start adding all of our vegetables.
Nice. The onions going in first, but I think the peppers are
I'm going to put them all in together.
basically going in.
I'm just not done chopping yet, so.
Yeah.
And you probably aren't either. Whoops. We need to finish chopping, you guys. Not yet.
Does that include the carrots? Do they go in also, Stephanie?
I don't put carrots in this because they take too long to cook. You'd have to almost pre-cook them a little bit, but yeah, they'll soften a little bit if you want to put them in now. Celery, the same thing. You could add celery.
Yeah, the celery and the carrots that I grabbed were because they were listed as optional for this curry quinoa dish. So if people are using those, should they add them in now or?
Yeah. What we're gonna do is kind of boil everything so it'll all get cooked eventually.
But if
But
they're
you want
using
to-
carrots, they should get those in there now.
Yeah, because they take longer to cook.
Sure.
What you don't want to put in now is a soft vegetable. So if you wanted to add, for example, you can add zucchini or mushrooms. Those vegetables, you don't want to put them in now, put them in at the end. And that's why we're adding the peas at the end, because they're really kind of a soft vegetable and you don't want to overcook them.
Sure.
This is a weirdly shaped pepper. I've never seen that.
I noticed that.
Like,
Lots of
We have
curves.
multiple ones that are really interestingly colored, but actually it probably support, they're like half green, half red, like
they're still
there
there.
you go, they're
Yeah.
they're like on their way to ripening all this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they'll add color. I don't even think the original recipe had a red pepper in there, but it really needs that color because it's kind of boring otherwise.
Liven it up a little.
Probably good. Do you want me to stir any of this around, or
You can start. Thank you.
one thing I'm always guilty of in the kitchen is just like I just keep stirring it, and my partner's like, just let it sit.
I'm guilty of that too. I get scolded for
I
stirring
just
too
made
much.
something to do it. I'll stir it for a while.
I like to get the oil coated on the
vegetables.
vegetables just
Yeah.
so they don't stick.
Sure. Don't overdo it, Tim.
I know.
How's everybody doing in their kitchens?
That's not much celery really, but that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah, it was optional, which is why
Like
I only
everybody's
got
chopping
one,
away.
or we can definitely get more. We're in a grocery store.
But these are kind of stringy, and so you want to get them cooking down.
Yeah.
Sometimes what I do is I put the lid on it when I'm first getting started, and it helps to kind of steam them a little bit. And then I take the lid off and let them brown before we add the liquid.
You want that lid?
Might as well.
Sure.
Did you say you gave me a carrot? Is that for this recipe or is that for the? Oh,
I got it for this recipe, but
okay.
I don't think it was listed for the other recipe.
These little tips of the carrots, that's what you save. I don't peel my carrots, and these are nice and clean.
Good. I cleaned
Beautiful.
everything, and I'm relieved because I was just thinking, I didn't peel them. I wonder if she's
I don't
gonna-
skin my carrots, but if you have carrots like mine have been sitting in my refrigerator for weeks, probably, or longer, and they're starting to grow little hairs, just take your knife and scrape them.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to peel them. And this doesn't really need any scraping, but it's kind of wise when you're cooking for the public to peel or scrape because you don't know if there's dirt on there that might make somebody sick. So
Sure.
we'll give them a little bit of a scrape.
Nice.
A little bit of dirt.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't hurt you in your own kitchen, but when you're cooking for, if you're making a church potluck or something,
Right. Yeah.
I have a whole class on food safety for potlucks because it's pretty scary what people do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bacteria at potlucks for sure.
Yeah. Do you have any classes coming up soon that you could promote?
You're asking me this while I'm trying to think.
Oh, yeah. You don't. I could have actually prepared a few, but.
So this is how I cut my carrots. I just sort of quarter them like this. I don't know if you saw that. I'll do it again. Cut
What's
them
up? Okay.
in half
Um,
and half again.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Half. Flip them over so they don't rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it's nice.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Pretty
carrot
easy.
sticks.
Kind of like carrot sticks. And then when you chop them, they don't have to be all that small.
Right.
Because you want a little chew, right? Don't you want a little chew in your food? You don't want everything to be mush.
Definitely.
That's good enough.
Nice. Carrots are going in.
Carrots are going in.
All right. It's filling up.
Yeah, it's smelling really good.
I bet.
I like a little brown on my onions. So I'm not sure about this. You might want to crank the heat up just a tad.
Okay.
And then when you turn the heat up, you take the lid off. So you don't want that steaming anymore. But you want it to start sticking to the bottom of the pan and creating that brown, delicious sweetness. And as the longer you cook your onions, of course, the sweeter they get. And you get just that little bit of brown tinge on them, and that's how you know it's time to add everything else.
Nice.
So it looks like everyone's still chopping. So how about if I just talk? We've got, let me see, we have We have the ginger root. I can chop the ginger root while we're talking.
All right.
So about an inch of ginger root is what they call for, but this is kind of gnarly. So I think I'll do a little bit more than that.
So about an inch of ginger, yeah.
About an inch of ginger. This is kind of a little bit narrow. So, and again, this is just a scrape. You just scrape, or you can actually peel it. Depends. I freeze mine.
So do we, yeah.
I keep mine in the freezer. And so what I do when it's frozen is I just scrape it. But that works. So just a scraping gets in off of it.
If you're using dry ginger, which would you use?
I would use less than, what does it call for? A tablespoon of fresh. I would probably use like a quarter or a half of a teaspoon.
Okay, thanks.
Good question.
Because it's concentrated when it's dried.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question because I don't keep fresh ginger that often either. Oftentimes I don't even use it because I don't have any in my freezer.
Right.
Do you know a lot about the health benefits of ginger?
I know a lot about a lot of things.
Yeah, that's why I feel comfortable asking it.
So ginger and turmeric, which turmeric is another one of the ingredients in curry powder, are well known for their anti-inflammatory properties, and inflammation is associated with all disease states. So turmeric and ginger are really recommended for anybody with any disease state to reduce inflammation.
Does ginger also help with like the stomach and digestion?
Oh, of course, yes. Anybody who's ever been pregnant or car sick knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get car sick. So I get car sick driving myself. So I have ginger chew. All my friends know that I have ginger chews in the car when we're driving because, it's definitely helpful for stomach issues. But it's so anti-inflammatory that you can make ginger tea. For example, you can just soak some, take a big chunk of this ginger, chop it in like rings, and put it in hot water. And drinking that ginger tea is really anti-inflammatory. We also have a recipe for turmeric milk on the Peapod site. And turmeric milk is, I make it with oat milk. And you just add turmeric and some other spices, and you just make it like you would hot chocolate or something like that. And it's a really nice evening drink, anti-inflammatory drink, and it helps you feel like you can sleep better. So I recommend the turmeric milk recipe on Podcast.
I'm looking for the link now.
Stephanie is in charge of the food and nutrition group in Coos County. And a lot of the resources she's talking about are available on, there's a Facebook page, it's FNG Coos, Food and Nutrition Group, FNG Coos. There's also, if you go to the co-op website, the food and nutrition group right now has a page on that website where you can find a lot of these resources she's talking about. So it's recipe.
I just put the link into the P podcast that has the golden milk Steph's talking about.
Nice. Oh, good. Okay.
A lot of good resources.
Is that the same thing as the Indian hot drink that you make?
Well, except that there's a couple of different versions, and my version is vegan. So a lot of the Indian versions use ghee, which is a saturated fat, and we don't recommend that. So, but yeah, it's the same kind of thing. But you spice it up the way you want. I use turmeric, and I also use anise seed, star anise, and cardamom pods. And of course, cinnamon. I put cinnamon in everything. How's that look?
Good. It's not really sticking, but
it's not browning yet.
No, it's a lot of liquid at the bottom. I think. Get there.
Right.
And eventually, when this ginger is chopped up, is it going to go right into the pan?
Yeah, it goes right in with everything.
Okay, so everybody's working ahead.
A one pot dish, but yeah, this is a little more complicated to clean up. So I used about 2 inches worth, but it was pretty narrow around, and so we didn't really So I use a little extra just because ginger is so good for you. So it's not a very large piece around. So I used about 2 inches.
All right.
And then somebody can
That's
take
adding
that
some
home.
nice scent into
Oh,
here
it smells
too.
really good.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it adds sort of like it's almost like a citrus. It's kind of like a lemon or a lime. It adds that flavor enhancer. So without the ginger, it's still good without the ginger, but the ginger just brightens it up. I'm watching Halloween Wars, and they're always talking about brightening up the flavor of their cakes, and and they use citrus, and that's what ginger really does. That.
Nice.
So, all right, what else can we talk about while we're waiting? We're using a low sodium vegetable broth, but at home, if I don't have the vegetable broth that I made myself, which I don't always have, because even though you make a couple of quarts, you go through it very, very quickly.
Sure.
I buy these not chicken, not beef bouillon cubes.
Oh, okay.
Am I putting this somewhere?
Yeah, hold on. Sell here.
Do you sell them?
So
I get them on Amazon because I don't live in them. But it's not chicken, and it also comes, not beef.
Oh, okay.
They're little bouillon cubes, and you can use a half of one because they're really high sodium. But they add that little extra kick of flavoring if you don't have a good vegetable broth.
Cool.
But if you're high sodium, you want to cut them in half or reduce them. They're square, so you don't have to use them all. But that's what I use, and because I make a lot of soups, I probably make 2 soups a week in the wintertime, and so you can go through a lot of broth.
Sure.
You can use plain water too if you want, but I brought that to show you what we're using.
nice.
Cool.
We're
Thank
also
you, Steph.
using
Bob's?
tricolor.
Right.
Did you get it?
No, sorry. Wrong button.
That's all right. We got time.
Tech issues. That's all right. Joanne added that Costco has those that broth.
Nice.
Oh, do they? So this is the tricolor Bob's Red Mill tricolor quinoa. You can see, can't really see because I can't tip it, but there we go. I guess you can.
Sure. Yeah, we can
It's
see the
all
multicolored.
color. There's the black, the red, and the beige quinoa. And Tim had pulled the beige quinoa, and I said, "Oh, boring! Don't you have the tricolor?" So he went. It just has a little more flavor. The darker the color, the more flavor you're going to get out of it.
Nice.
So if you want to do something rather bland, you use the beige quinoa. But if you want to do something like a tabbouleh and you want a nice rich flavor, you can use just the black quinoa or the red quinoa.
Oh,
but the
okay.
mix is really nice. So try a couple of them.
Great.
Do you know where can people go to find your classes? You offer a lot of classes about nutrition and things like that.
I actually created a brochure I was going to bring today. I do have a brochure. I can share it with you. Maybe, Paul, you can put it on the website or something. So on our Coos extension website, if you go to events, all of my flyers are going to be put there. You can also get on my newsletter marketing listserv, and I'll send them to you every month. And then everybody who's on my newsletter, like Paul and Tim, they all get my newsletters. They can share them with you as well. So, but I will, Tim had asked me what classes I have coming up, and I can't think right now, but I will tell you that on the on the 4th Thursday of the month. It's not always the last Thursday, but on the 4th Thursday of the month, I do a webinar every month, except November and December because of the holidays. And today we did the reading labels class, which was fun. Well, next month, we're doing ancient grains. So you'll learn more about quinoa and teff and kamut and all of these grains that maybe you don't know that much about. So we will learn about those grains next month, and that flyer will be available on my marketing listserv, or Tim can make that available.
Yes.
And I just put a link in chat to the events page, and it looks like you have 3 classes before that, Steph, a microbiome one, a scary food one.
Yeah, like I said, I can't really do 2 things at once, so I don't really know what dates they are, but I do them on Wednesdays at the Bandon Library. We're doing the microbiome. The chip class is the second Monday, and I think we're doing scary food at the chip class.
Yeah,
Scary
that's
food.
October 14th. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're doing it, the potluck starts at 5 and then I'll start the class at 5:30. That is a Halloween themed presentation, so it's fun, but it's also really scary about what's in our food.
Oh, sure.
Scary.
Very good.
It's
You're
called
going to really scare us, aren't you?
Yes, it is scary. I'll tell you what, it used to be a 1 hour presentation and I kept adding slides because I kept learning and learning and learning. So now it's a little bit longer than an hour. So keep that in mind when you're thinking of coming.
Cool.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add our spices now. So hopefully you're all chopped up and ready to go. We're going to put the spices in and that's going to make them more aromatic. So this is not very much. Is that a tablespoon? Did you measure it?
I did not measure that. I thought it was.
Well, it's
Oh,
probably
1 tablespoon.
It's
That looks
probably,
like about a tablespoon.
It's probably exactly a tablespoon. Yeah, a little more. Good. Put it all.
That'll work.
That'll work.
Well, we're adding more vegetables so we can add more spices.
Of course, yeah.
I'll stir it up for you. Steph.
And then the recipe calls for a half of a teaspoon of cinnamon, and I'm like, that is just not enough. Cinnamon is really beneficial, particularly for people who have like diabetes. It really helps to regulate blood sugars. And we're going to add a little more too.
Nice.
So I put in like 1.5 teaspoons. You can't go wrong. I mean, you could add more if you like it. It's not going to hurt anything. But the curry powder, if you're sensitive to hot and spicy, you don't want to add extra. But you want to get those spices just a little bit almost fried, just to make them aromatic before you add your water. So I'm going to get ready with the broth or water. We're putting in 1.75 cups. If you add a lot more vegetables, you might put in 2 cups.
Okay.
We didn't add that much.
And folks can use water if they don't want to use broth.
They can use water, they can use broth. It really doesn't matter.
All right.
So that's about 1.75 cups of broth. And then we have our quinoa ready to go.
We're just giving this a chance for the spices to kind of cook and fry, like you said.
And as long as they're looking pretty good.
How's it look, Steph?
I don't know. How's it look?
We'll go overhead. Here we go. On overhead.
Let's see it, Alan.
And then just keep it on overhead because we're going to stay there.
All right.
You got it?
Yes.
So we're going to add our liquid.
Okay.
And we're going to add our quinoa. Now, the other thing that, a little bit in the bottom there. The other thing that you could do is put in half quinoa and half red lentil.
Ooh.
So the red lentils will dissolve completely and you won't see them, but you'll get more of that red curry color. And it adds a lot of soluble fiber.
Sure.
The thing about, is that on high?
Yeah.
The thing about quinoa, remember, is that it has all 9 essential amino acids. So quinoa is a replacement for animal protein. So you have all 9 amino acids. This is a full dish, a full meal. You don't have to add anything to it. This is all you need for a meal. So that should come to a boil, which doesn't look like it will.
It will. It's getting there. Yeah.
And when it comes to a boil, we're going to turn the heat down and simmer it for 15 minutes. And while we're simmering, we'll make the salad.
Cool.
It is getting there.
It's
Okay.
getting there. And this seems like a really good middle of the week. Like
I
don't have a lot of time or energy kind of dish. It's like all in one
You
pot.
just throw it in. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
And
awesome. And everything's in there. Everything you need's in there.
Need to add anything to it, maybe a side salad. The only reason we're making a corn salad is just to kill some time. But normally when people smell this, when they start, like I've made this dish like in offices for worksite wellness or something like that, and people will start smelling it and they'll be like, "What is that? That smells."
I bet.
So
There's a lot going on in that one pot.
Yeah, that's enough,
Cool.
isn't it?
Yes.
Is that enough to serve whoever. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So turn it down to like medium low and
Okay.
then
Cover it or no?
cover it. Yes, cover. And then we'll set the timer for 15 minutes. That should be plenty.
Cool.
And then you're gonna take care of the peas. You got
Yes.
those already done, or you're working on that?
They are done.
They're done. So the peas are ready. We're gonna add the peas at the end, and that's true if you decide to add mushrooms or zucchini. You kind of add them at the end. So if you want to add those, get ready to add those at the end. If anybody has
Sounds
those.
good.
Otherwise, we're ready to move on to the corn salad.
All right.
Hoorah! Clear my area.
Sure.
Now, boil this corn too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you guys are following along with Steph, Tim's got his timer going for the quinoa.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. The recipe calls for 2 bags of frozen corn. Tim will take care of that too. If you have a microwave your corn. Don't cook it, right? Like just cook it, microwave it until it's not frozen. Because you can use fresh corn if you have fresh corn. You could eat the corn raw, but you don't need to cook it. You want it to be cold. So just if it calls for 5 minutes or whatever, just cook it for maybe 2.5 or 3.
Okay.
You just want it not to be frozen. So you might want to get your corn ready and either in the microwave or whatever.
If they don't have a microwave, they could just use a pot of water, right?
Pot of water. Yep, absolutely. So I'm getting started on the peeling of the onion while you guys are getting your corn ready. I'm not a fan of raw onion. I don't like raw onion at all. So if I were doing red onion, which I am, but I'm not going to be eating it most likely. But in my recipe for red onion, I would chop the red onion and put it in a bowl of cold water. Put the red onion in a bowl of cold water, and then you kind of let it sit there for 5 minutes or so, and then dump the water, and that hotness of a raw onion goes away.
Oh, okay.
Become a lot more mild. I would also, instead of a red onion, I would probably substitute a shallot. So a shallot is automatically milder.
Sure.
It's smaller, so you have to do more of them, but it's really mild. Or you could use green onion. And green onion is also a really good option as basically a dark green leafy.
Nice.
Could you do a squash or zucchini?
Sure, you can put anything you want into your salad. I mean, you could add any vegetable you want because it's a cold salad. So the other interesting thing is we just did a health fair at Bay Area Hospital, and I had like a little quiz going on at the health fair. And one of the questions was, what's the difference between a yam and a sweet potato? And a lot of people don't know. They think, oh, yam is dark orange and a sweet potato is light orange. But, here's the nitty gritty on what's the difference. And that is that they're both the same thing. All of the things that are called sweet potatoes and yams in America are sweet potatoes. There's no such thing as a yam in America. A true yam, like in India or Vietnam or something like that, is about 4 feet in diameter. It's massive.
Wow.
And so we don't have those here. The government calls it a yam, but it's not a yam at all. And the difference between the yam and a sweet potato, a true yam and a sweet potato, is that you can't eat a true yam raw. But you can eat the American yams raw because they're just sweet potatoes. And so you could chop up a sweet potato and put this in your salad.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like bison, buffalo, or like fiddle and violin, Yeah.
So they're all sweet potatoes. So don't let anybody try and tell you it's a yam. But be careful, because if you go to Vietnam and you get something with yam, make sure it's cooked, because they're poisonous if they're raw.
Wow. And so if you're getting a real yam, though, is it orange inside like the yams we think of here?
I don't think so. I think I have a picture of one in my handout. I believe it's like brown on the outside, like a jicama. It's kind of brown on the outside and light on the inside. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
I've never had one. Never eaten it.
Sure.
And because I don't like red onion, I'm cutting it small. You can do it in rings if you want. You can make it pretty. However you like your red onion, I'm not a fan. So it's pretty small. And he's given me 2 of them, so okay. Like I said, I'm not going to eat them.
Eat them all.
Well, I've already
Someone will
peeled
take them
them.
home if you.
Yeah, that. How much salad are we making? Two things. I might just do one.
Yeah, do one. That's
You can stay if Steph serving for me. I'll eat it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll bring you some tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim.
So I don't know if you're noticing how I'm cutting my onions. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I get to where I can't really hang on to it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see this?
Oh, no.
Now we can.
I can't really hang on to it. It's getting kind of small. So I tip it and I give it a flat surface so that it's easier to cut.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Otherwise, it slips away from you. And that.
I don't want that slipping. I think that's actually plenty of onions.
Yeah, no, that's great.
We'll save that for somebody else.
Sure.
And then again, I don't like it very big, so I do this rocking with. You've all learned how to do this, right? Rocking with your knife. So you got to have a knife that has a curved edge. And then you just hold the tip down and rock it.
Right.
And
Yeah, compared to the last onion, this one is chopped very fine.
yeah, I like the yellow onion. And you could also use Vidalia. They're a little bit more gentle as well, but they're also expensive. So I don't know, maybe they're cheap here at Coos Head.
What?
Vidalia onions.
Oh, I don't know.
What's a dahlia onion?
Vidalia onions.
Oh, Vidalia.
Vidalia. It's just a sweet onion, but because sweet, it's expensive. And so most people don't use them.
Right.
Do we have a big bowl to make our salad?
Sure. Yeah, actually, it's right.
Oh, he's right on top of things.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to use this terrible red onion. I don't know, Mama.
Don't hype it too much, Steph.
That is a lot of red onion. But it'll be tasty to somebody who likes it.
Yeah,
Totally.
I like it.
That's what the recipe says. Throw in your red onion, and of course, if it's too strong, you can soak it, which
Yeah.
it's pretty strong. And then it says to have your tomatoes. These are
Want some help
beautiful.
with those?
Yes, please. Have you washed them already?
Yeah.
Okay. The more tomatoes, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Oh yeah, I can see they're well washed.
Yeah, these are different sizes, multicolored, different shapes.
They're like heirlooms. They're like little heirloom tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it.
We're just cutting them in half.
Yeah, or bite size, maybe even quarters. Can I use this knife, do you think? Because I usually have a serrated knife.
Oh,
Are those from Promised Land, Tim?
yeah, they are Promised Land. Yeah.
I thought I recognized those tomatoes. He has like more varieties of heirlooms than anybody I've met.
I just don't, well, maybe it's not because it's kind of smushy.
Yeah, it's always the tough part.
I'm kind of just quartering them because, and I don't worry about taking the seeds out. Some people take all the seeds out of a tomato with flat.
Yeah.
And, and they're so good for you. Just don't do that. But this knife isn't quite as sharp as I would like it to be. But I actually like the fact that the seeds are wet, and what they'll do is they'll kind of add like a juice to the salad. So that's kind of nice.
Cool.
Lots of tomatoes in there.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of tomatoes in this too. It's gonna make up for all that red onion we put in.
God, I hope so.
There you go.
Now I'm wearing food safe gloves, but obviously at home you're probably not wearing gloves, but I do recommend that if you're going to cook for other people or people that have a compromised immune system, that you wear gloves. I also recommend that, we didn't do it here, but I did it at home before I got here, to disinfect like your countertops, the handle of your refrigerator, the handles of your pots and pans, the handles of your knives, or disinfect the whole knife, so that everything is disinfected when you start, because you might not be affected by it. But if someone is, say, going through cancer treatment or has HIV or AIDS or something like that, they're going to be at much greater risk. Even people who are seniors,
Mhm.
are at greater risk for any kind of disease states. So we don't want people with a compromised immune system to be exposed to extra bacteria if they don't have to be. But a lot of people, when they cook, they forget about the cupboard knobs or the door to the refrigerator. So they'll wash their hands and they'll get the spot all clean, and then they'll go reach for something in the refrigerator, and then they've contaminated everything and they forgot. So
yeah, I just wash my hands a million times when I'm making something because of that, because I haven't disinfected. I'm like, oh no, I touched that. I got to wash my hands again.
The other thing about disinfecting, like your countertops and stuff, is if you read the instructions on the stuff that you spray, they'll say, spray, you'll see it on the commercial, spray and wipe off, spray and wipe off. That's not how you use it. You spray it and you leave it. It has to sit on there to kill the bacteria, and before it'll take effect. And so you have to let it sit on there before you wipe it off. It's usually like 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Good advice.
Go in the bowl?
They go in the bowl.
Okay.
I have at home, I have flexible cutting boards, and they work really nice. I meant to bring them because when you cut something, you pick it up and then you just dump it. It kind of pours into it, so it makes it really easy.
Right.
If you have a really sharp knife and you pick your food up with your knife, like I'm doing, you could cut yourself. So it's important. I'll just save some of those seeds too.
All right, we got onion and tomato.
Onion and tomato. Okay.
Help?
Yes. All the way.
Teamwork. See how
Thank you.
There we go.
Okay. And then we do the cucumber. Now, last month, I think I'm going to peel this.
Okay.
Is this organic?
Yeah.
Of course it is. All right. Before I peel it, I'm going to taste it. If it's bitter, we peel it. If it's not bitter, we keep it.
Oh, okay.
The more skin you have, the more fiber. Oh, that's fabulous.
Hey.
We're keeping the skin.
All right.
All right.
I was nervous there.
Oh my gosh. So good. I don't
You
know.
guys have any of the Persian cucumbers right now, Tim? The little ones?
The little ones, I don't think we do right now.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, those are good.
So I want these in like bite-sized pieces, so I'm going to triple cut this. Oh, wow, that is so good.
Nice.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, I love this time of year because there's so many organic cucumbers floating around our area. It's just awesome.
Floating? God, hope not.
All right, not technically.
That was a scary food.
Yeah,
Floating.
floating cucumbers. But, some of these cucumbers, well, first of all, if they're not organic, you're going to want to peel them because most of the pesticide is in the skin. So sadly, if they're not organic, you're going to peel them. And that's true for all of your vegetables. If you don't have a lot of money and you're trying to save money, you don't need organic onions because you're going to peel them. And you don't need organic cucumbers because you're going to peel them. But if you don't peel them, like kale or spinach or these delicious cucumbers, then you should be buying organic. Spend the money.
Sure.
And people say, well, how can I afford to buy fruits and vegetables? And I say, well, pretty easy. Stop buying chips and soda. A bag of chips is like $5 now.
Oh, yeah.
Stop buying chips and soda. Stop buying, beer and junk food and pre-prepared meals and all that. That's pretty hot. You might want to rinse that in cold water.
Okay.
Shame on beer and wine.
Yeah. All right. Okay. You have to have a little beer and wine, maybe.
Yeah.
But if you really cut back, and if you're cutting back on meat and dairy, those are really expensive too. And all that money that you save, you can now spend on fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
And of course, you can go to the farmer's market and get some good deals at the farmer's market as well.
Yeah. I think this would be really good with lemon cucumbers.
Oh yeah, lemon cucumbers, awesome.
The library too has some great produce.
There you
Thank you,
go,
Joanne.
library produce. You wash these cucumbers, I hope. I didn't ask. We're gonna do both of them because they're just too delicious. So we're gonna do them.
Nice.
How's everybody keeping up?
Let's see. How's everybody doing?
Keeping up? Yep.
Yep.
Thumbs up there. Good.
Looking good. I see people chopping cucumbers right along with you.
It's our 15 minutes.
Okay.
So this, after the 15 minutes, if it's just been kind of cooking in here, it's done.
It's
right?
done. Yeah.
We can add the peas in, I assume, at that
You
point.
can add the peas and it's ready to go. And then you turn off the heat, keep the lid on it, just keep it warm.
Okay.
So if you guys were following along with Steph and Tim, their 15-minute timer went off, so they're adding their peas.
Yeah. Smells really good.
And
It looks really good too.
I bet.
the peas are hot, so that they don't have to be cooked. They just throw them in.
Nice.
If you put them in and they were only lukewarm, you might want to heat them up a little bit.
Yeah, that looks good.
I forgot to mention, if you're going to use the half lentils, half quinoa option, you need a little more water. Lentils will absorb more.
Oh,
water.
right.
So do the full 2 cups and then keep an eye on it, because the lentils will add soluble fiber, which is going to help lower your blood sugars and your cholesterol. So it's a really good option. Plus, it gives you, remember, that orange color, but they dissolve so you don't see them. It's a good stealth food. I like to hide red lentils in like tomato sauce because nobody knows they're in there. Just put a little bit. You get more fiber, you get more protein, and they're really healthy, and nobody even knows.
Nice.
I never thought of that. That's awesome.
All right, so we've got.
You should do a stealth food class.
I should do a stealth food class.
Yeah, things you can hide in
I'm
other
good at
recipes.
hiding.
Yeah.
I'm good. You might need to give me a spoon. I'm not really good at this.
Okay.
I know people do this on TV all the time, but
Like a wooden one like this?
yeah. They make it like a big.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not very good at that. All right, so we're getting there. So we've got our red onion, our cucumber, and that looks wonderful. Okay,
Nice.
moving on. The next thing we're going to chop. Oh, by the way, I meant to mention that the food of the month was it this month? September was chayote. Chayote is a Spanish vegetable that is very similar to a cucumber. And so I asked Tim if we could do chayote and honor the Healthy Bites Initiative food, but he didn't have any. So
I don't think we have any chayote, but
yeah.
I
But you
want
could.
to try one
You
now.
could substitute. They're very similar. They're kind of, they say it's a cross between a cucumber and a zucchini. I've never had one, but I did write it up. So that's what I learned. Okay, the next thing is to chop our fresh basil leaves. We don't have basil.
Wah,
Wah, wah. That's right. So we have this beautiful parsley. I mean, it's gorgeous. So I'm one of those people that keeps the stems. So some people chop the stems off and they throw them away. That's just silly. I don't know why people do that. We'll take the ends off just in case there's a little dirt on them, but we're going to keep the stems and everything because most of the nutrition is also in the stem. So why throw it away? They are a little bit chewier, so you got to cut them up a little bit smaller. So I'm going to do them separately from the leaves and do them pretty small. If you have basil, do the stems. You could do parsley. You could do mint.
Nice. Yeah.
How much basil was it?
You could do cilantro.
Was it? I think it was half a cup of basil, right?
They say half a cup.
Okay.
I don't do that because what are you going to do with the rest of it? Use the whole bunch of it,
Yeah.
So I just use it. More green. This is your dark green leafy. You might as well, you get your folate, you get your B vitamins, you get your vitamin C, you get your nitrates to make nitric oxide. This is your dark green leafy. So take advantage of it.
Definitely.
You
And
do
I put a link in chat to the chayote healthy bite if anybody's interested in that.
How about sprouts?
What kind of, oh, yeah, sure, you could put sprouts in. OSU Extension doesn't recommend sprouts because of the risk of contamination, but, if you're not worried about it, then they're delicious and they're very nutritious.
Are we talking about E. coli?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I was eating a lot of sprouts for a while, and then I read some stuff, and I've been backing off.
OSU Extension doesn't really want to recommend those types of foods. So once you get it kind of loosely chopped, I just chop it up a little more. I kind of don't really get to all the leaves, and that's okay. If you have a big leaf in there, who cares?
Nice. A rough chop.
A rough chop. It looks pretty good to me. Now, in the meantime, I don't know if you noticed that I told Tim that the corn was looking kind of steamy. We don't want hot corn in our salad, so I told him to rinse it and cool it down a little bit.
Oh, okay.
When I remembered and looked back and saw my boiling pot of corn, I thought, oh no.
I'm like, I'm
You
looking
want
over
to thaw it, not cook it.
it's steaming, and I'm like, uh-oh, that's looking like a lot of hot corn that we want in our
I have to
salad.
put your corn on ice.
Yeah. Or like I've been getting a lot of Valley Flora corn in my CSA box, my farm box, like just chopping that right up into the salad. Yeah, so good.
Oh, nice.
Pass me the corn. Is it cool?
It is cool, yes.
Okay. And it's drained.
Yes.
No liquid. Good. Sweet. Good job.
Thank you, Chef.
No liquid retained. Awesome. This looks like a nice white corn. Or
It's a beautiful salad. I think we should get an overhead on this.
Yeah, it's looking good.
There we go.
Nice.
It really is.
Are you overhead?
Yeah. Do you want
I
me
bet
to-
it's even more colorful than we can see with the lighting. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's very colorful. Yeah. That dark green, that is a huge tomato. Do we think we can cut that tomato a little further?
Sure.
I can do it. I can do it. It's a big tomato. Tim's got a bigger mouth than maybe some of us. Well, that's all right, right? Okay. All right, so now we're ready to dress. I believe we've got everything in our salad, and of course you can add as many vegetables as you want, but the more vegetables you add, the more dressing you might need. So consider that.
Sure.
So Tim has given me some red
Apple cider
vinegar here in this container, and we're just going to measure out a little bit. It calls for 3 tablespoons. We're going to do it loosey-goosey because we might need more. We've got more vegetables in here, but we'll see how it goes. Now you can use lemon juice or lime juice. You don't need vinegar, but this is a little bit sweeter, and I think it's actually pretty good. The other difference between me and the recipe is I don't use oil in my salads. So the recipe calls for oil. We're going to put some oil in it. We have to put some oil in it, but I don't use oil at home. So I would use something like maybe a little bit of orange juice or something sweet to mix with the apple cider vinegar, and that way you don't get the fat from the oil. Remember I said oil isn't necessarily a health food.
Sure.
So we're going to put in 2 tablespoons instead of 3 as a compromise.
Mhm.
All right.
Life's all about confidence.
That's right.
But if folks are opposed to using oil, they don't need to use it at all.
You don't need to use oil at all, but you might need a little something just to make more dressing, and that's why I recommend you could use pomegranate juice, you could use orange juice. Just consider the color,
Sure.
So, and that's all that's in here. They also recommend salt and pepper, but we're just using 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and I put in 2 tablespoons of oil. The other thing that you could add to this, you could put in a little jalapeno if you wanted to, and kind of really give that little pucker and spice. And then we're just gonna drench this salad with the dressing and stir.
Nice.
I'm going to add some pepper because I think pepper's always good and I don't have to worry about it. He's given me a little bit of pepper here. Now maybe I'm going to use a lot of pepper.
All right.
But I'm not going to put the salt in because I'll let people do that themselves.
Sure, sure.
He did get me some salt. I should probably use a little bit.
Oh,
Just a token amount.
Sure.
It looks like a lot of, whenever you see people on the cooking shows where they take their fingers and they take the salt, it looks like a lot of salt, but it's really not. A pinch is really just a pinch. It's not even
Sure.
of a teaspoon of salt. But how much salt should you get every day? Anybody know?
that's a good question.
Renee, you should know. We just talked about it today. Am I
Go
putting you
ahead,
on?
Renee. Educate us.
I'll do it. I don't want to put her on the
Yeah.
spot.
Good. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you.
She knows, but she wants
She
you
knows
to
that
say
she wants me to say it because
Yeah,
I
sure.
have to look like the authority here. So the World Health Organization recommends just 1 teaspoon of salt per day. 2,300 milligrams is 1 teaspoon. That's not a lot of sodium. And if you're buying a lot of packaged foods, or if you're using these bouillon cubes, you're already over the limit. So it doesn't take much. But so adding 1/4 teaspoon here is not a big deal. But if we did put the bouillon in there, you got some sodium in there too.
So essentially, we're all eating too much salt every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah.
So the goal for salt, so the thing about sodium in salt is that it binds with the fluid in the body. So when it goes into the bloodstream, it's caustic. It's if you've ever rubbed salt on your hand, it's going to scratch your arteries. And so the body waters it down because it doesn't want it to scratch the artery walls, and then you want to excrete it through the kidneys. So what happens is it pulls fluid from the extra cells around it, and you get all this extra fluid in your bloodstream. And what that does is it increases your blood pressure because you got more fluid in the bloodstream. And then you flush it out. And so hopefully you flush it out. But if you're eating more potassium doesn't hold water. So it can give you like a potassium chloride salt. It doesn't hold the water. And so actually, and all of these vegetables have potassium in them. So we're getting the benefit of the higher potassium and lower sodium. So good for your blood pressure. Plus you're getting those dark green leafies for your nitric oxide. Do you have a plate to plate up?
Let's plate it up.
Let's plate up and see how it looks. All right. Serving spoon. We'll start with our curry quinoa.
Oof, it smells good. If you took the lid off, just waft it out.
Nice.
And our corn salad. And I did say that we would serve this on a bed of greens. We forgot that, but that's okay. What happens when you serve the quinoa on a bed of greens like spinach or something is that the spinach wilts and it's easier to eat, and you just eat it all in the mouthfuls together. So you get more greens that way. But this is curry quinoa and corn salad.
Yum. That looks awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah. Very cool.
Now, who's going to eat this?
Oh, I mean, I know I will. Alan will. Let's get Alan.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to twist anybody's arm there.
But Alan takes some fancy pictures, so.
Yeah. Well, you might
We'll
want
let him-
a third thing on the plate. Here we go.
So, you want parsley? Style it a little.
Style.
Don't forget to send your pictures of your recipes.
Oh,
Rich.
yes. Thanks for reminding me. You
Yeah.
guys all have my email in your Zoom confirmation. Please send me photos of your completed meals or plates. Appreciate it.
It's always best the second day too.
Oh, yeah. After everything marinates. Yeah, totally.
I'm eating the leftover stalks of
Laura said, thank you. I learned a lot. Thanks, Laura.
Yeah, good job.
Do you have a
Stephanie.
napkin?
Thank
Do you have a napkin?
Right by Dave.
A pretty napkin.
Oh,
You don't have a pretty napkin?
No problem, Suzanne. Thanks for joining us.
This was a low budget.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, any other questions before we
Yeah,
get?
how's it? Did everybody complete their quinoa and salad at home? Think so?
Yeah, sure.
Yep. Stacy said thanks. Looks yummy. Thanks for joining us as always, Stacy.
Did anybody else cook?
Oh yeah.
Joanna's cooking, but she's probably into the wine, right?
Yeah, I've got a lot of.
Joanne and Steve are cooking. I think some of the people have left to go eat at this point. We always encourage them when they're done to just go eat before it gets cold or whatever.
We added some boneless.
Enough for me.
What did you add, Joanne?
Some boneless skinless chicken to the quinoa.
Skinless chicken.
Stephanie didn't hear that.
I didn't hear that. You don't need to add the chicken because you got all your essential amino acids.
I know, you got your protein.
That's gonna be good. So next month we're doing the ancient grains class. So we'll talk more about quinoa and its cousin Quinoa and other grains, and also we have handouts for all of those too. So.
And
Yeah,
Steph's
and so-
back next month for community
And
cooking.
I'm back next month. We're gonna focus on nitric oxide next month. So we'll be looking at how to increase our nitric oxide with beets. So we'll make the kale and beet salad and a beet soup. And it's great for the holidays because they're wonderful colors.
Yeah. If go ahead, Christina. We got a question, I think. Katie said
I wanted to tell you that I enjoyed it. My quinoa took longer to cook than the 15 minutes. And I do have a suggestion if you're going to do a lot of onions, like when you make zucchini relish, is you burn a candle while you're doing it.
Oh, and it helps. Yeah, it helps. Or
with the crime.
Wearing glasses helps too, because when you cut it, those things squirt into your eyes, those Allisons. But the Allison family, that's the onion and the garlic, those compounds that burn your eyes, they're actually really protective against cancer. So onions and garlic, really a good protection.
Nice. And Katie said, fab presentation, such smiling faces, Pablo and Tim, and fantastic job, Steph. Excelente.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, enjoy. I'm sure you'll, even if you don't like curry, you can enjoy this dish. So
definitely.
Curry.
What's that, Steve?
I said I love anything with curry. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you taste it yet?
Not yet, but I will.
All right. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, enjoy.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Dad.
Yeah, if I'd have made that, I'd had to feed the homeless. I would have had so much food in the house that the community.
Julia, did you finish yours?
Good job.
Yeah, good job, Steph.
Nice.
Well, I'm not getting a response. I think everybody completed their meal. Great job, Steph. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was good. That was great. So much good information.
Totally.
All right. See you next time, you guys.
Yep. All right. We'll see you guys on the 24th of October for Beet Madness. We're going to have a beet salad and a beet soup.
Oh, great.
With other stuff, of course.
Ought to promote the beet while we're at it.
That's right. Yeah, good time. Yeah.
All right. Well, if everybody is good. Oh, thanks, Julia. I think everybody's good. So I think we're going to sign off. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Paul.
Great job, Steph. And everybody have a good night.
Bye.
I'm going to go be jealous and eat my usual dinner. Take care, everybody.